You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Everyday Practices. Today we have Vicki McManus-Peterson. Hi, Vicki.
Hi, Chad. How are you?
I'm great, and I know that you're excited, so I won't steal your thunder. Why don't you introduce our special guest today?
Oh, thank you for this. I would love to do that. Our guest today is my really good friend, Anne Duffy. She is the founder of Dental Entrepreneur magazine and Dental Entrepreneur Women magazine. And I think she is just one of the most pioneering women in our industry. She's been a hygienist for about the same time as I have, so we won't give away that secret. But Anne, thank you so much for being with us today and shedding light on, educational media and how publications play a role in dentistry. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm actually thrilled to be on your podcast, Vicki. You have been on my radar for so many years. I admire you so much and everything you've done for our profession. So to be able to team up with you and to meet Chad today, it's an honor for me. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're loving having you on.
So, Chad, before we started, we kind of got into a deep dive already about, Anne, if it's okay with you, I want to start with Dental Entrepreneur magazine. You started this in 1998, and it goes out to dental students, and I believe the tagline is Beyond the Classroom. What was your purpose in publishing this and ongoingly for 2 decades now?
Well, I have to tell you, the real truth is I came on board from the very beginning to sell advertising. I'm a dental hygienist, as you had mentioned, and Frank Elliott came up with this idea, and he was going up against dental economics and switched gears to go to the dental schools. And being that I'd had 6 state boards and practiced all over the country, I'm very, very passionate about the young dentist on the business side of dentistry. And so it was a great fit for me to sell advertising. 3 years in, he's a journalist and he didn't have any passion for the business of dentistry, not the passion that I had. So I took it over and we've been doing great ever since. We've got just the experts in the field that are writing for us, that have been there, done that. And we've actually even switched gears a little bit with the young dentists that are writing for us now. We've got Miguel Ortiz, who Ortiz is on the cover of this fall edition, and he is just an amazing dentist. Has this huge following on Instagram, like 75,000 followers, and he's into photography in the dental office, in the dental field. And so, we're starting to highlight those young dentists that are actually hitting it right out of the chute, and are the future of the dental entrepreneur. So I'm excited about that, and able to share their fears, their successes, because I think we learn from each other, don't we?
Oh, I love that. And Chad, you were saying that when you were graduating, back when Noah was still like stocking the Ark.
Back in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, in the mid-2000s. I mean, you were just saying this is one of your favorite publications.
Yeah, and when I go to the University of Iowa College of Dentistry, I have the students mark this down as one of the publications that they should check out. So it's definitely a nice resource for people to get a hold of. I think I also just ran across your Dentistry Uncensored recording that you had done about 3 years ago, and I love those. So those are always good to kind of get to know people and what their story is, and we appreciate you coming on and talking about that today.
Well, thank you.
Chad, did you have a practical tip that you might have picked up along the way from reading publications such as this?
Well, what I was mentioning earlier was just in general was that, whether people pick up on their recordings or not, or the publications and do the practices, but nothing comes to mind specifically, but just being able to read about how to address, for example, and man, I mean, this is hearkening back to years ago, but whether to call it the waiting room versus the reception area, or when is the right time to hire, when is the right time to hire admin team versus the front desk people versus another hygienist, and how to present treatment plans. It's all the stuff that before Productive Dentist Academy, I was trying to figure out on my own. So that was the difficulty, just learning it on your own and not doing a consulting. So having signed up with Productive Dentist Academy, it helped kind of shorten the curve, but it sure was nice to read those publications without having found the right consultant to go with at first, to be able to think those ideas through. And I'll tell you what, Anne, there were competing ideas over the years where, one person would say, hey, you should try this. And then someone else says, no, that's crazy. I'm going to make you think against the grain. And that's okay. It was okay to, kind of balance those ideas out.
Yeah. And I think that's what we tried to do, Chad. I always think it's business 101. We know that the dental schools just don't have the time for it. And they say that over and over. It's hard to believe in 2019 that they don't have time for a little business, because I actually think that they should, have a full course, for dentists. I mean, to just throw them out and say, get in your own business. I think that's really tough. So we try to keep it very simple. And we do have conflicting ideas sometimes, because experts, if you ask, how they say, if you ask 10 dentists to give a treatment plan, you're going to get 10 different treatment plans.
Right.
And there's a lot of really successful consultants out there, and of course, and attorneys and accountants. We practice managers and transition specialists that all have maybe a little different tweak. But the neat thing is we've kind of vetted them all, and we have great relationships with them. I trust them. The people that are writing for us, I trust implicitly. They're friends. And I follow them, and I really feel like they're giving the best advice that we could possibly give, to the young graduating dentist and those practicing 10 years or less. So it's a great it paves the way for Productive Dentist Academy, I think, really, because they're just reading us in the very beginning. They're hungry for it.
Well, Anne, you're absolutely right. If there's a newspaper that said, here's the deal, like if you had a newspaper that always gave the same opinion and there was never any, you'd start knowing that it was propaganda. But yeah. But for example, so you run across something that says, hey, you should look at 401ks. And then 2 years later, someone says, the 401ks, what you should consider is actually doing this on top of your 401k. And then a couple years later, someone says, don't even do 401ks, do this. They're not right or wrong. Things change and the landscape changes. And the thinkers are going to say, okay, how do I receive that data and take it into what's current to what I need to know?
Exactly.
So I think you brought up some really, really good points, that having these publications really help. It's a very economical way to educate the masses and get common vocabulary. And sometimes when you're in that place of, I don't know what I don't know, you just go, oh, I didn't know I needed to know that. And now you do, which awareness is the first step on anything. But, it seems like it's a tough business, Anne. Our publications, you're going digital now. How are people consuming information?
Well, we tried to ask the schools. We did ask the schools, do they want us to continue to print in a paper form? And so, yeah, they want the paper because the kids are, young people, and they are on their tablets all day, their phones all day. They're in this small area of the mouth, and they like the idea that they can take this little publication. It's usually only 40 pages, 36, 40 pages, and very simple. They can read it in an hour and a half, cover to cover, and get some really great key advice. But we do send it out digitally as well. So we have a point person at every school that we send our publication to digitally, and then they send it out to their listserv. So we're hitting every dental student in the country, and at least that's what the plan is. And
I love it.
If with the schools, they love us, and we're lucky. We're one of the only things that can get into the schools. And I think, to Chad's point, we're generic. So we really have no agenda other than to educate the graduating dentists so that we can maximize their careers as businessmen and women serving the dental profession.
I love that. I love that. And you've just been so consistent. Moving into your sister publication, I know you've got a passion for women in dentistry as well. So you've got a passion for young students and business owners starting out right. And I know you're a trend watcher. So what are you seeing in the trends for women in dentistry?
Well, first of all, more than 50%, of the graduating dentists are women in 2020. So we've got that going for us. So I like to say women are really taking over dentistry, because when you think of their teams are, what is it, Vicki? 98.9% of their teams are women. And yet in the big corporations and in other areas of dentistry, women are sitting in the back seat to this day. And it's interesting. I started this with an Aaron Brockovich moment. A good friend of mine was being bullied. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just can't hear another word about how women are not getting their due, so to speak. And that is a pun intended. And I started I called it Dental Entrepreneur Woman. And thank you, Vicki, because I did want a sister publication. And a lot of people understand that in the fact that it's if you're not an entrepreneur, this is not a magazine or a movement for you, but it is, because all women, and Chad, you could probably agree with me on this, all women are entrepreneurial because they're all spinning 5 plates at least.
Wow.
Right? I think men are a little bit more laser focused. So it's for women in dentistry. And again, I wanted a sister publication of Dental Entrepreneur. We called it Do, and we're having so much fun with that because we're just doing it. And we love doing it. And I say, keep doing you. And I really feel like we're getting a huge movement going here, where people are wanting to join in. Together we can be stronger. And we love our guys, we love our dudes, but we also want to highlight, inspire, empower, and connect all women in dentistry so we understand each other and understand where we're going and understand how we're going to grow our presence and our leadership in dentistry, because that's where we need to be. Because again,
there is no mistaking your passion for this.
No, I know it. Loving it.
One of the things we love to do on our podcast, we're called Everyday Practices. So in your wisdom, looking out across the landscape of dentistry, do you see differences in men and women and their everyday habits or practices that serve them well? What kind of entrepreneurial tips would you give us for what you see people are doing to be very successful?
Well, first of all, I think to answer the first part of your question, women love connection. Okay. Women love relationships. And so what I have found is that I talk to, women every week, new women that I've not met that are connecting, like you connect me with women and then that person will connect me with somebody else. So this is this big maze of people connecting each other. And what I hear, the common thread is they want to learn from each other. They want to be able to reach out to each other, because it's a little lonely when you're a practice owner, right? Or it's a little lonely when you're a consultant or whatever you're doing. Sometimes it can be lonely. You think you're the only one in this predicament. And I think women like to share that. And they feel lifted up by that. So there is that. And I've got, every time I talk to somebody, in fact, I met somebody at ADOM. I was at this meeting last weekend, and one of the gals there is working for a female dentist now versus a male dentist. And she could hardly wait to write a story for us to give me the differences between working for a female and working for a male. And I just know that it honestly boils down to women versus men. And we can't deny there is a difference. I mean, men are from Mars. We love that, and women are from Venus. And, some of those things are not going to change. The thing that we have to realize is that leadership is at the core, and communication is at the core of success in a dental practice and in growing your dental business. And I think that some of that comes more easily to men so far, into the past. But now women are, they crave it. They just sometimes don't know how to get there. We say we want to empower them, but do they want to be empowered? And our job, and you probably find this in Productive Dentist Academy, is how can I show them that empowerment is a good thing, they can be empowered, and they can actually have balance to go with that, because women crave balance.
You know what? I'm going to let you speak to that a little bit, Chad, because you speak a lot about leadership, and you've got male associate doctors, you've got female associate doctors, yourself. Like, do you see differences? Like, what's your practical tips here? What's some everyday practices we pull out of it?
I think that there's a generational difference as well, that people in one generation, male or female, are growing up seeing how it worked for the previous generation and saying, what I would like to perfect upon that, not necessarily do differently, because that's sometimes gives off the air that it's like, well, what they did wrong. And it's like, well, everyone's just trying to figure it out. And they have expectations from others, and less these days people are taking those expectations of others because they're wanting to just do what's good for them. So I've actually, I don't know, I have a female associate. Just recently I've had a male associate before, and they both want to find ways to balance not just work and life, but it might also be spending time with the team. It might be
I see.
Taking time off of work for family time. And I don't know if there's much of a difference between the male and female wanting that. It has to do with when they have time off, what are they going to spend it doing? Of course, guys might quintessentially like going hunting more than females, but they both want time off, right? And the females might want to go out for ladies' night more than men want to go out for ladies' night. But at the same time, guys want to go out for guys' night sometimes, but that's okay.
I think I'm sorry, Anne. I was just saying, Chad, I think you're hitting on a really great practical thing. Like, we're in this age of relationships, right? So no matter where you're at, I see the desire for connection increasing. Right?
I do too, more so than even my generation. It's my associates that are even 10 years younger that I'm noticing that difference.
Sorry, I accidentally turned on my emergency call.
Good.
This is a very hot topic today.
Love it. Nice.
I thought it was time is up. Sorry, Chad.
It's almost there.
A couple minutes. So, Anne, what say ye? What are your readers? You've got a very active online community. What say ye about this dentistry?
I feel like women in particular see how they can merge together with the colleagues to be able to find that kind of balance. I think that they are working to not have to do it all in the office by themselves. And so I think they are looking for partnerships. I think they enjoy that. And I also think, the difference between men and women, in one sense, women are very particular now about self-care. And they know if they don't take care of themselves or put their oxygen mask on first, they can't care for others. And I think that they're very aware of that. And because I think, women are caregivers, naturally born caregivers. It's just one of those things. I mean, I think men are being taken care of usually. I mean, a lot of, and that's, I think, why women have not been able to rise up in the ranks, because they don't have anybody taking care of them. They're not only taking care of their job, but taking care of everything else.
So you're saying we finally figured it out that no one's just going to show up at our door with a massage chair and a bubble bath, like on demand, because we think, what, growing up, like, you and I in the 70s and looking out at opportunities for women. And then we became empowered and we went into the workforce and we came home, and then we just got things like microwaves and TV dinners to speed up what we were doing, but we still had to do it. And that, remember Virginia Slims, have come a long ways, baby. So self-care in the 80s and the 90s for women was, have a shot of bourbon and a cigarette, honey, you'll get through it.
Well, yeah, it was one of those things where, like, thanks a lot. Now we can do everything. It's awesome. I can put
really
on dance backwards in heels. But I do think, to Chad's point, I think the new generation, the men in the new generation are really looking for balance too. So I think that that's a shift, and that's going to be a shift in dentistry.
Just culturally across the U.S. Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I don't see why people have to work so hard if you can balance it, and they don't want all the things. One of the things, we talk about in Dental Entrepreneur, like, don't go out and buy the BMW and the big house right away. And, that's days of old. Now they don't really, they want to go glamping every once in a while, but they're okay with not having a lot of things because of course they've got the debt, but they've also, we also try to figure out a way to help them realize that that's not
what's
deterrent.
Funny about that is just yesterday I closed on our old house, and I would maybe make the point that never buy a big house ever.
Wait, for all of you listeners, I'm going to have Chad just like pause and say, when we were going on this topic in coaching, your coach said,
well, okay. So
no, I'm just teasing.
Oh, I love it.
I'm just teasing.
Well, the audience, the truth is I for 3 years bought a big property, big house, thought that would kind of be cool and all, and it would be cool to keep forever. And it ends up being too much. It was just too much. And so just yesterday we finalized closing the downsize, and it sure feels nice. And I don't know, I liked it. It was a good experience, but I wouldn't do it again. So just take that for what it's worth. Even whether you have the money or not, just, unless that is your life's goal, but don't just get a big house just because it seems cool. Or
because you're a dentist.
Right. No.
Well, don't you think, Chad, and Anne, I'm going to pose this to you too. Don't you think that all of this is really pointing to, and Chad, I'm just giving you grief.
I
know.
You
bought that house.
It
was beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. But don't you think we're in this now social experiment of, oh, well, that's what the world says I should have. If I reach a certain level, then these are the material things that would paint that picture. And so now we're kind of experimenting with it, trying it on. Like you tried on that house and said, that's not
but it's different. And wouldn't you say, because it used to be a white picket fence that people wanted and a dog, but now these days it might be, like you said, glamping or, whatever their thing is, but everyone's got a different thing. And I just even find it funny, for example, like there's so many people that want to be individualistic and do their own thing, and yet they get the same barbed wire tattoo on their left arm, just like every other guy did. And in other words, like, how did that set them apart when they were doing the very, so people in the 1800s had a white picket fence of some example or another. And then our generation does too. And with people that can't afford it, it might not be a big house, but for dentists, it might be the Tesla, and then the whatever. Everyone's got a little thing they're chasing. Anne, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think experiences. I think it's really the experience that they want. And
that's a good point.
That's that's priceless, right? Even the commercials, even the TV, it's just everything you see is pointing to that. And that is not, I don't really think that's going to change, because what they're seeing is the generation that we're in, that we're like, what the heck? Why do we need all this stuff? Because Chad, we're kind of downsizing and same thing. And the kids don't want anything. Our kids are older and they're like, hey, no thanks, Mom. We're fine the way we are. So I think that that's totally changing, which is a really good thing when you're getting out of dental school right now. And for even, the young women that are practicing. I think it's great for the young dentists out there to realize that that's not the end on the be all. It's about giving back. I think that they are really interested in giving back.
Yeah.
And minimizing, what they have to worry about, and so they can worry about and not have a lot of worries. So I think that is the way we're going, and I think that you're going to see that shift. They're going to, their practice might even, it used to be the practice wasn't as nice as your home. I think the practice is going to be nicer than your home, because you don't need that much, because you're going to be out of town and you're going to be, traveling.
It's amazing. I think what you did was you checked out my Facebook page or something, because here's how it happened.
You're never home.
Here's how it happened. Well, that too, but I've told Vicki. And it was when Sarah and I, my wife and I, we were with the kids on the beach on the north shore of Kauai, and we were wrapping up and just, we were just sitting there, and it was just so serene, and it was just nice. The kids were playing, and we were just kind of just chilling. And I said, if we sold the house, Vicki, you might remember me saying this, is if we sold the house, Sarah, we could do this every year. Wouldn't that be cool? And she looked at me like, because I was the one that wanted that house. And she was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, if that's the difference, is that we've got this big house, but we want to go do fun stuff like this, those experiences. So when you said experiences, I was just like, oh my goodness, it's full circle. There's the why of why and when we got back from that vacation, I put the house up for sale that next day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, because it's priorities.
It.
If someone wants a big house and a big property, then they're going to keep it, right? But for us, It was more important that we go do something like that. And funny thing is, we haven't been back since, but at the same time, we have an opportunity.
But you have the choice.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what you want. You really want the choice. You want the choice, and you want to be able to practice the way you want. And that's why if you don't nail the business side, you'll never be able to practice the way you want to practice. And you'll be always pushed because of over spending and not being able to manage your practice, the profit and loss. So I think that, Productive Dentist Academy, what a wonderful thing to be involved in, to know that you're doing the right thing at the right time, and you have experts that'll help you. That's the thing. I think dentists feel like they are experts in dentistry, but they're certainly not experts in business.
No.
And
not yet.
Not yet. And some of them will study it, some will study it, but others just want to do dentistry and don't want to be bothered with it. And that's where you guys come in, which is, it's a lifelong relationship that you're building with dentists, and you've got the longevity, and you've also got the success coming out that they're finishing up their careers, looking back and saying, well done, a great career, and I would recommend it. And that's another part of do. I mean, I really wanted women that are sharp to stay in dentistry and to love dentistry, and then it someday, say, hey, listen, that was a fabulous career, and then give back. Never.
Oh
retire.
man, I love that. I love putting bows on some of these conversations by summarizing. You gave us so much great content. Chad and I are just blowing up the message board here. But gosh, what I heard you say is that at the heart of everything really, and dental entrepreneur and dental entrepreneur women communities reflect this, is that people are really craving choice. And the quicker you can really get your practice under control, you understand the business model that you're working. And we work with a wide variety of business models. I mean, we work with those practitioners who help the most fragile people in our society, in Medicaid offices to PPO, fee for service, high-end aesthetic, multi-office. I mean, we've got coaches in all those spectrums. And I love that the common denominator for everything is, how do we get you into this place of choice so you can live the way you want to live, create the relationships you want to have those experiences with your families and friends. I just love that. We are coming to a close. Anne, you have, and you've graciously allowed me to participate in a fantastic event coming up in November. Do you want to tell our audiences about that?
I would love to. We're having our very first Do Retreat. It's called the Do Retreat. And it's really the focus on that, Vicki, is living your strengths. So when you come in, our goal is for you to discover your strengths, to understand your strengths and the strengths in others, and to really maximize everything you're doing, not only in your workplace, but in your family and your personal life. You're going to walk away absolutely falling in love with yourself again and falling in love with others. And that's what it's all about for me. And I'm excited. It's November 14 and 15 in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're having a big party at the end of it on Friday night, but we want people to be able to leave Friday night if they want to get back to their families. It was important to me to be able to spend time the weekends with your families. I always hated being away on the weekends. So you can either leave Friday night or Saturday morning. It starts Thursday at 5:00. It's just in and out. We've got some fabulous speakers. We've got Vicki McManus, Hazel Glasper, Manal Sampit, Joanne Majors, Jasmine Haley, myself, and 2 Gallup coaches coming in that are going to talk about strengths, along with Connie Dugan. So it's going to be amazing. Only 70 women. It's going to be the first one that you'll never forget, and you'll be friends forever. So there you go.
I'm sorry, Chad.
That's a recap.
We'll have a dude retreat next time.
No, I'm going to this one.
Oh yeah.
I have seen you. I've seen you when your daughters have put curlers in your hair, and I think you could pass.
Ain't no shame. That's right. Little ribbons.
We love those dudes. We love our dudes. So yeah, you bet, Chad. I can't wait to meet you and give you a hug in person. It's super neat to be on the call with you guys.
Likewise.
People that I admire so much. So wonderful.
Well, thank you. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today with Anne Duffy on Everyday Practices. And Vicki, thanks as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Chad, it's Anne Duffy. And you have one more question.
Oh, my goodness. How could I? Anne, I want to know, bacon or eggs?
Oh, gee. Really? Eggs.
Eggs. Wow. All right.
Yeah, eggs.
What a tactful decision.
Oh, I like my eggs with bacon, though. I'm just going to say. Bacon, lettuce, tomato, and an egg on the top. It's pretty darn good.
Because why not?
Why
Oh,
not?
I'm hungry.
Me too.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with Everyday Practices.